Hi YouTube, Extreme Trains here. So in this video, we're taking a look at an item which I have been ruminating on, shall we say, for quite some time, but I just haven't seen it for a price that I was comfortable to pay in the circumstances. But as you know, I'm a sucker for the different expressions that are available both on the Thomas metal engine push along all engines go series, as well as the Thomas wood engines. And so I'm excited to say that in the Amazon Prime Day sales, which were a month ago now, how embarrassing, I did manage to pick up the figure 8 starter set from Thomas Wood, or sorry, I should say Thomas Wooden Railway now, shouldn't I? I'm really interested to see what this set is going to look like, given that we've had quite a few similar sets to this before. So we're going to do a bit of a comparison, not only what does this set do and how does it play, particularly with the bigger engines, but in terms of is it a good value, taking a look at it compared to some of the previous iterations of this set, as well as other items that are on the market. So what are you waiting for? Let's do it. Okay, so here we are taking a look at the Figure 8 track pack, which is the official title for this set. You can see it's in the very familiar now Thomas Wooden Railway 2.0 packaging, which, as I said, I really, really like. It stands out, it's very different, it's very clean, it's very modern. I think they've done a really good job with this packaging. And I also love this stylized version of Thomas we've got here. It has the thing that looks like it's going to open, but it doesn't. We get a nice picture of all the track that's included, and it looks like quite a lot. I mean, I know it's not, but it does look like you get quite a lot of track in this set. So you can see we have got that there. I'll just lift this up so you can see we get the Thomas 24 parts. Again, not a lot of background on what is actually included, which is very standard, unfortunately, these days for Thomas products, where you just get a lot of faff and legal stuff. Otherwise, not really that much more to see. Come on the bottom, you don't have the exciting barcode, just more blah, 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 no one cares. We do get the nice little product shot of all of the Wave 1 items together, subject to availability, which, as I said, are much less impressive than the old boxes they used to have even on the Thomas Wood items, but definitely impressive in terms of some very cool stuff in this series. But what are we waiting for? Let's crack it open and take a look. Okay, so you can see it's a bit of a chaotic mess on the desk at the moment, and we'll go through everything that's included in a moment. But firstly, very quickly, we'll look at the instruction brochure, which interesting looks like it's sewed together. Very interesting. So we get this. Get a nice little diagram showing you how to put it all together. Hopefully people don't find that too difficult. Again, I love these. It's showing all the different items that are available. And then, you know, we're seeing here also these items. It's a world of adventure sold separately. And so I think that's quite nice. Very chic. Very quickly then, talking about the track. This is just a plastic crossover piece, very Thomas Wood style. I'm not sure much to say about that. We've seen these before with the Knapford Station set. Again, it's interesting that they made these look different to the old ones that they had for Thomas Wood. This is the little loader station thing. What I didn't realize is that this is like a fabric piece. So it's like a felt kind of construction, which I think is actually quite nice. It's weird, but it definitely, I think, fits with Thomas Wood and Railway, and that it's not plastic, but otherwise you can see we've got a big plastic base here, plastic roof, and then just some wood for the little columns. We look at the wagon. Also seen this before, so this is the same style of wagon that was like the red little luggage wagon that came with the Knapford Station set with the silver wheels, nothing on the bottom, and then this is an all plastic wagon. You can see we've got one little load of wood here and then a load of rocks on the other side. Like, these are so odd. Like, if they loaded like this, then it would make a lot more sense for them to be able to swap the sides over, but they don't. They load this way, which means, like, on the one side, firstly, obviously it looks really weird, but on the one side it's wood and on the other side it's rock. Like, again, I can see what they were trying to do here. I just think they really didn't nail the execution. You can see this is a little live unboxing of the container wagon, or whatever it's supposed to be. I'm gonna find out. Okay, so this is a wow magnet, in case you didn't know. Again, like back in the old days, they used to just have the magnet showing on the top. Anyway, so this is some pipes, it looks like. At least this one's the same on both sides. That's good, but it's not the same on the top or on the front or the back. So while I'm glad that it fits, although not super well, again, like just I have a question as to why they've designed them this way. That's fine. Here we go. Here's Thomas, who's nicely wrapped in tissue paper for us. Again, we got a live unboxing. He's the star of the show, really, isn't he? Oh, you can see he's covered in paper and tissues, but let's take a look at him now. We'll do the quick 360. Okay, come and look at that face. That is a great face. It's giving me that crazy CGI Thomas smile that was on some of the promotional photos energy, but I think that's a really good, that's a fun Thomas face, very fun. I'm surprised they didn't make this the default face, to be honest. I think it's interesting they used this face for the set, but anyway, that's okay. We come around to the side, we've got, again, the rock detailing, some of these little geckos on one side. I can take or leave that detailing. I don't really love it. And then we've also got the beaver detailing on the other side. So it's clear that this is very specific to this set. I think you could get away with the animals, but the rocks do make it quite specific. I don't really know why they've done this on the side. Like, a kid's really going to care. I think having the different face would just be fine. I don't think they needed to do this other stuff. Otherwise, it's the same as the now quote-unquote standard Thomas. And then very quickly on the track that you actually get this wood. It looked like a lot. That's it. So the straight pieces are 4 of these tiny little adapters, which we will look at in a second. And then you get a bunch of these tiny little curves. Now, these are very tight curves. I'm going to be very curious to see how engines like Gordon and Hero navigate them. But it is quite tight. So it does make me think this set is going to be quite a bit smaller than maybe I initially thought. But let's build it up and take a look. Okay, so I have used the ultra-wide angle mode on my phone to film this part of the video, but you can see it fits pretty comfortably on the desk. So it's not a very big set at all. And again, you've got these 2 adapter pieces, but you can't do anything with them because they would muck up the geometry of the loops. So again, it's a little bit annoying that you can't actually use these to expand the size of your layout. So the fact they include these in the piece count to me is a little bit misleading. That said, in terms of how it plays, well, Thomas just goes around and derails. These curves are very tight. You can really feel the friction of the wheels against the curves. And I remember making this same comment in relation to Thomas Wood Track as well. Yeah, you can really feel like they're very free rolling. Very free rolling, and then as soon as you come around to these curves, you can really feel that friction that's being built up. That said, it's not uncomfortable to play with, but it could certainly be much smoother. I don't know why they didn't go for a slightly less tight radius of curve. We can see here it's quite a small little figure 8. There's no official place for this to go. It just kind of vibes wherever you kind of want to put it. But yeah, this is quite a diminutive little train set. And you can see there's not any expansion opportunities either, which we're going to retouch on very briefly. You can see he kind of wants to jump off the track, unless it's together exactly right. Yeah, there's not a lot of expansion opportunity because there's no points or anything included in this set. So it's quite hard to easily connect it to, for example, the Knapford station because it's a figure 8. So you can't really integrate the station in very well. So, I mean, it's certainly not bad, but for the money you're paying, which we're going to talk about in a moment, I'm not sure how great or how useful this layout actually is. So what we're going to do is do a quick test with some of the bigger engines in the range. Okay, I have coupled up Gordon to the only 2 coaches we've currently got in this series. Let's just do a test about how he runs along the track. Oh, yeah, you can see he kind of wants to jump off a little bit. Again, he can certainly do it, but you really do feel the friction. And the front pony trucks do like to try and jump off the curves at several of the joins. Yeah, I've really got to be like guiding Gordon around the bends. Like, I can't just push him along the track. He definitely needs to be. I'm using my force to kind of push him towards the center of the loop so that he doesn't jump off the track. You can also see that Annie and Clarabelle are, like, because of how close they are, you know, they can't actually be coupled on this curve. They're kind of like, one of them is, Clarabelle is kind of a bit derailed so that she will actually follow behind Gordon. So he does work, but it's tight. Let's do a sub out for Percy. How does Percy play? Yeah, Percy plays great. Still a noticeable increase in friction compared to the straights, but definitely much better. You can see again, he kind of collides with Annie and Clarabelle almost too. So what if we pop out now with Thomas, who's a bit bigger? And then Thomas is actually all right. He doesn't collide with Annie and Clarabelle along here. And actually that looks pretty good actually. Quite like how they look on this set. And then just for something a little bit different in terms of cross compatibility, I've also got the Gordon from the push along series to see how he goes on this track. So again, straights are fine. Curves, you can see the tenders come off. The main driving wheels are actually staying on miraculously, but that tender, because of the coupling situation, the tender wants to jump up. It can sit straight if I push it. It will sit straight, but it doesn't want to by default. It wants to jump up. So you can see there, it wants to jump up. I've kind of got to push it back down so that it will stay. So it kind of works. Not super, super great. Let me see if I can find another engine who would be a good example to test. Here we go. Emily is another example. Oh, that middle wheel is not turning around those corners at all. And again, she really wants to jump off, but I guess you can see the middle wheel turns. Kind of works. Yeah, it kind of works. Let me see who else I've got here. I've got Percy, who is one of the motorized engines. Now, he's not motorized, of course, because I don't have any batteries in him, but just to test the wheelbase. Yeah, the old motorized engines don't seem to have too much of a problem. They seem to look like they would be able to run without too many issues. Obviously, of course, I'm not sure about the new Trackmaster. I don't have any of the new battery-powered Trackmaster engines. And then if we just try a little engine, so we've got Nia, who's kind of a bit of a middle-sized engine. Yeah, so she's got no problems running on this track. The tank engines are going to have no issues, but the bigger tender engines from the push long range are going to struggle a little bit. So yeah, again, that radius of curvature is just so tight. Why they didn't go with a slightly wider curve, for example, so you can see there's 6 segments here. Why isn't just a tiny bit bigger? I really don't know. All right, let's talk about some comparisons to other starter sets from Thomas. Okay, so for a comparison, here is the Thomas Wooden Railway starter set from the Thomas Wooden Railway days. I've still got, you can see it came with a loop of track, 1 wagon. You definitely got a lot more accessories, but you didn't get a station. Apologies, doesn't want to focus on that. I don't know why it's not behaving. Come on, you can do it. Anyway, you can see what was included. See the size of the box. You can see the price I paid for this. Now, this was several years ago now, but at full price, it was $40. $40, yeah, you read that correctly, and I paid $25. So that's quite a lot less than what you would pay these days. You can see that's kind of what you get here for a comparison of the box sizes. This is about twice the size in terms of the box. So that's an idea of what we used to get back in, or when would this have been? 2015 or something like that, 2016, just before Thomas Wood came in. You can see my review of that on the channel. I'll put a link in the description below. And then something that's a bit more contemporary, this is one of the current push-along sets I've reviewed. Very, very good. I think these are some of the best Thomas & Friends sets we've seen for a very long time in terms of value for money and also for playability. These are $20. I've seen them for anywhere between $20 and $30, but you can pick them up for $19 from Big W, which is a retail chain in Australia. This is great because you get the engine, you get a loop of track, and they've got unique expressions. And most of them, Gordon being an exception, have like a little points so that you can connect them together. You can buy 2 of these and connect them into like a double loop, which is quite cool. And as I just said, this is $20. So the question then becomes, how much was this figure 8 set? So in Australia, the recommended retail price for this set is 90 Australian dollars, 90. 89.99, but I'm going to say 90 because that 1 cent is nothing. I got this for $55 Australian as part of the Amazon Prime Day sales, which is why I picked it up, because it was quite a significant discount. But unfortunately, there's just no way that this is $90 worth of product. I understand that it's wood, but again, remember, we don't get Annie and Clarabelle, who are the most famous coaches, or really should be with every Thomas, I think, in the set. We get Thomas, we get this random wagon. It's not even a troublesome truck. It's just a random wagon. So this is what you get for 90 Australian dollars, and I just don't think that's acceptable. Because if you think about it, right, we know how much these engines get charged for. They're about $20 Australian by themselves. So I can see how, if an engine is $20, this set is $90. If you think about how much wood is in this engine, there's definitely like 2 or 3 pieces of these tracks. Say 3 is 1 engine's worth of wood. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is $80. And then you pay $10 for the engine and for this and this. Obviously, it's not the same. This has got a lot more complex painting details, separately fitted parts. But, you know, in terms of the volume of wood, if this is $20, I can see why this is $90. But in terms of play value, the value you get from this versus, for example, Knapford Station, which again is quite a lot more expensive, about 150 Australian dollars, you get a lot more value with that. There's a lot more you can do with it. There's a lot more, you know, came with 3 pieces of rolling stock. You could do quite a lot. This doesn't come with any points. There's no way to expand it easily because of the way that this is all configured. The truck is a nothing. These are just weird. This is good, but you don't get a crane or anything to use it with. There you go, you can stick it on there. You know, it really doesn't feel like a really good starter set. And again, it's so small that you can't really play with multiple engines on it. It becomes very, very crowded very, very quickly. So I don't think I could recommend this set to people, and I really don't think it's doing Thomas Wood and Railway any favors. If a kid gets this as a starter set, I think they're going to get very bored very quickly. It doesn't have the hills and the ups and downs and the switches that the push-along ones were having, and certainly if I was going to be getting something for a kid to get into Thomas and Friends. So from a value perspective versus what has come before, but also what's on the market, I really don't, unfortunately, think I can recommend this item at full price. If you can get it for a discount for 50 Australian dollars, it's getting closer. But I think really, if those other plastic sets can go for 20, understand there's a premium, this is a wood item, yeah, maybe 40, 45. But for 90 Australian dollars, there's just no way I can recommend this to anyone. That is too much money for not enough train set. And you really see that when you see how much the other retailers of non-Thomas branded items charge for these things. And I think it's really, really challenging for Mattel to justify to consumers why they should pay so much for what is ostensibly so little. They've been making wooden track forever. Come on, guys, you can do much better than this. So, in summary, I think this is one of those items where I cannot recommend it to you. I really think you should save your money and buy things like the new station or the new cranky if you want something that's more interesting. Even the track pack looks better. Like the track pack that's just random points and switches, I think is also $90, and that's much, much, much better value. You get quite a lot of track with that track pack, is my understanding. Versus this, you get a lot of track, but it's not that useful. You don't get any points. The only reason you would buy this set is to get the Thomas, which is essentially why I bought it, because I just love that facial expression. But even then, I think he's definitely downgraded by having this printing on the side. And for those reasons, I think this is going to be one which I'm going to suggest you all skip. But I can't wait to see in your comments below whether you agree with me. I appreciate this is a long review, so thank you very much for sticking around. And naturally then, that's all we've got time for. This is Extreme Trains.